What's up, team? It's me, Coach Sess. Hey, I want to introduce you to some different top pads and focus mitts just for training to help you decide what you need for yourself, what you need for your trainee, when to use it, when not to use it. So let me just start by introducing to you something very familiar, very common, and sometimes overlooked as a good training method. We just have some basic striking gloves, boxing gloves, top boxing gloves. You basically would just use these to do a lot of partner drills with. I would not recommend that you take a lot of impact to your hands as a coach doing these, but for back and forth working with your partner, these are fantastic. These are great. Sometimes they're overlooked. A lot of gyms don't do partner drills. They should. They depend too heavily upon someone being there to hold the pass for them. Every person who walks through the door that comes to train is a potential coach one day. So right off the bat, they should start doing partner drills because these things will help you improve your technique overall, give you better spatial awareness, and a little bit more reality when it comes to combat, because now you're not having an artificial target. So these are great. Get a pair, 16 ounces, because you probably want to, in the beginning, just get one pair. But as you progress in your training, you want to have multiple pair. One to do your drills with, one to hit the bag with, and one to hit your sparring with. And I tell you why. I always keep a pair of sparring gloves in good shape, in case I run into a guy who has a pair of boxing gloves that are in horrible shape. We're going to switch. He's going to wear my good gloves, because if I'm going to spar him, I want to get hit by the good gloves. I don't want an accidental cut or foul. And that will probably motivate him to get a pair of good gloves and keep as a spare. Commandos, jab, cross, hook, cross, hook, cross, hook, cross, hook, high, low, jab, cross, go to the body with the hook, step your angle, step around. Come, bring your hands back to your face, Junior. Don't just punch, punch, punch. Punch with good form, punch with good posture. Let your legs and hips rotate. Good.
Go across the switch and have a switch, but the only thing you're allowed to go is a 1-2 switch. Nice.
Start adding in some knees and slight elbows. Make sure your hands are up when you add the elbows. Stop doing that wind up uppercut. So here we have basically top hats. That's all they really are. They're just top hats, but they're just shorter, all right? They're made basically with one strap, one handle. These are not made for kicking naked. However, if you got shin guards on, these are great for taking an impact while your trainees wearing shin guards. If you're wearing your belly pad, these are great. But they're really designed for your punches and your elbows and your knees, okay? So you want to do a lot more short range work in here, and they're hard enough where it's not going to bend and dent. So you really want to work that. And they're very light and mobile, and they're not heavy on your arms, all right? So you don't run the risk of getting your joints beat up by wearing these with a very good heavy hitter.
Cross. There. 3. Cross. Double cross.
These are not normally something that I would go out and recommend or even buy, but one of my trainees, Paris Artist, gave them to me, and I was making fun of them about them being from the UFC. Yeah, they have some drawbacks. However, one thing I like about them, they're very light, and they're very good for some of my light drills that I like to do, especially with the catch mitt drills. All right. And what I discovered that I did like about them is just like the previous gloves, but a little bit more pronounced here, is they have the wrist support, which is good for, you know, a store-bought brand that you can find on Walmart or a Kmart. I was kind of shocked how good this was, you know, them having that insight to put that into the mitt. And like I said, if you're doing a lot of fast drills and a lot of light drills, these pads are perfect. They don't have a Velcro on the backside, but they're easy to slide on and off, especially again if you're doing light fast drills. Slide on and off to do some of your grappling work, some of your clinch work, and then pick them right back up. So it all depends on how you do your drills. Again, hit me up. I'll send you some drills if you really want to know. If you buy anything from me, I will send you the digital training method to accompany that particular item so you understand how to use it. Right? So if you buy MMA gloves from me, boxing gloves, I will send you some training video on how to make good use of that material. So here are some old school ringside sparring coach mitts. So what they're designed for is for the coach to receive impact from his trainee, but at the same time be able to feed back some energy, somewhat live energy to his trainee. So basically, these are very good for your set to live drills. So basically, I would be here, jab, cross, hook, which is a set combination that I want my trainee to throw. Jab, cross, hook, jab, cross, hook. And then all of a sudden, I may start feeding, you know, just live combinations back to him. For defense, sometimes I might introduce a little bit of light sparring where we're going back and forth, and then I'll go back to the set drill of jab, cross, hook, just to keep working his form, working his technique, but introduce a little bit of a live element and a little bit of conditioning into the program itself. A lot of times when I'm doing that, I'm probably in the second phase of a workout, so there are 5 possible phases that I like at a basic level. There are about 8 possible phases that I like when I'm training a high endurance athlete. So this is usually about that second to third phase, depending on if I'm using a 5 or an 8 set. So these are very good, very big to protect the trainee. A lot of padding in here to protect the hand of the coach. And another thing, you don't find this in a lot of boxing gloves anymore. Boxing gloves used to have a lot of protection on the back of the hand, so you can block a lot of shots.
Yeah, guess
These are just some old twins And I bring them up because you'll still see pads like this on the market, where they're pretty much, if you look at it from the side, they're pretty much straight up and down. And you need to be careful wearing these. And that's because when you flex your hand back here like this, pretty much your fingers are straight up and down. So if you have the trainee and he hits a lot to the top part of the glove, your fingers get bent back a lot, and so you end up, getting the stress in your hand a little bit. So you want to make sure that your hand is all the way inside of the pad for one, of the mitt. And then I try to create a little bit of a gripping motion when I'm using them, all right? And then here, make sure that he's hitting the focused area. And that's what I like about these old school gloves. A lot of the newer gloves don't have these anymore, or they have some kind of branding logo, and people don't know that's what that logo is for. So it doesn't get taught anymore, but you want to make sure that they're hitting dead center where your palm is on the backside. And try not to spend a lot of time with your wrist flexed up when you're holding. I like to make sure that my arm is in a vertical position so that I can turn with it and take the impact from my trainee, okay? And I like to, as you can see, I don't wear the strap. I don't like to be restricted a lot. That's why I condition myself to grip on the inside to hold the pad. Just be careful, because sometimes the pads will come off, because you'll have a guy that hit the bottom of the pad, it slides it up. So that's why you see me reinforcing a lot, in between sets. Bop, 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 bop. And I may hit my own gloves. I don't want my trainee hitting his gloves, but I'll reinforce my own mitts or pads, depending on what I'm wearing. So things I like about these old school gloves, especially when I'm working my double ups, working a lot of body pad work, the protection is pretty good. I got about an inch and a half on this, so it's still good. And I don't wear the straps because I like being flexible, throwing them off, being able to come right back to them. Sometimes I'll even take one off and put on a boxing glove from wearing a shin guard, introduce that into the scenario, maybe with some clinching, and offer striking targets on one side of the body, just as a set drill, a set live drill. So a lot of things you can do with the different type of top pads and focus mitts that I've introduced to you. From a training perspective, make sure that the one thing you're always doing is getting your trainee's attention and giving him full understanding when to blast and when to go light. So each one has a different purpose.